I want to talk about what you're doing right now because you're at the border and you had planned to go to the border to investigate what's happening with children and the family separations and how children are being treated in custody even before we got this terrible news that this 7-year-old girl from Guatemala died. She died in U.S. border control custody. They tried to get her help, it sounds like, but she was so dehydrated by the time she got to them. They sent her to a hospital and she died. What are your thoughts as you hear that story play out?
Well, when I heard it last night, it was just, it's shocking. And it's a reflection of the horrific circumstances in which families are traveling to the U.S. And I hope she got immediate care. And the received water, as everyone should at the border. Yeah, it's tragic and awful, and it should make us think about the fact that right now the United States is locking up 14,000 children in a series of child prisons across America, and they're virtually out of sight and out of the news, and we need to get to the bottom of how the U.S. is treating children.
But there's no suggestion, as far as you know from where you are this morning, that Border Patrol did anything wrong in terms of helping to exacerbate her situation.
That's right. There's no information that I saw at all last night.
And so are there still children who are separated from their parents, who were separated during the ill-conceived Trump policy of family separations, who are still not reunited with their parents?
Yeah, there are a few dozen children who are still separated, and certainly all those children who are separated were traumatized, the several hundred children. But we also have now a new strategy of traumatizing children, which is, well, we're going to lock them up. We're going to lock them up with their families in internment camps, and I'm going to be visiting 2 of those internment camps today, one in Dilley and one in Karnes, Texas. And children belong. They belong in homes and schools and parks and playgrounds,
of course, Senator,
not being locked up behind barbed wire.
This is where the devil's in the details. If you believe that their parents are breaking the law by crossing the border illegally, your only other option is to let them free into the interior of the country. And as you know, many people object to that, and that doesn't work either. So they have to be locked up, either with their family or not with their family. What's the other option?
The other option is a family case management program. It's a program that was shut down by President Trump. It's a program that the Inspector General of Homeland Security said in his report that 100% of the families showed up for their hearings, their asylum hearings. So when you have a program that works perfectly well, that treats people with respect, and you shut it down and choose to lock up families instead and lock up thousands of children by themselves in camps, then you're doing something that's totally unnecessary. It's designed to traumatize these kids in order to send a message to the world. Do not, if you're fleeing persecution, come to the United States. That's the point. We had a program that worked. The United States government, President Trump, shut it down.
Yeah, that was a pilot program that had, I think, 100% success rate, and that needs to be re-examined. Next to the border wall. So as you know, the president wants $5 billion. As you know, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer are objecting to the government might shut down a week from today. How is what President Trump is asking for different from what Congress wanted in 2006 that then Barack Obama supported, Hillary Clinton supported, Nancy Pelosi supported, which was fencing? Call it fencing, call it a wall. Why do we object, meaning you guys, now to a border wall when border fencing was considered by Democrats to be successful then?
Yeah, border security, including fencing, I've been down on the border. I've seen the fencing. You can see through it. In fact, the border guard itself says a concrete wall is an absolute mistake. They say the border guard needs to be able to see what's going on the other side, that the wall doesn't stop any bad things from happening. It just makes it impossible for the folks on our side to see what's developing. It makes it more difficult for them. So we're not going to fund a 4th century strategy, easily defeated, that makes life more difficult even for security. So here's a president who's claiming he wants a wall for security, but it does the opposite. Why should we fund that? It makes no sense at all, and we're not going to do it.
And so you are prepared for a partial government shutdown a week from today?
Well, the only reason there would be a shutdown is if the president's throwing a temper tantrum, saying he wants less security rather than more by pursuing a stupid strategy, a Dumb and Dumber strategy. And it's his right to veto a bill if he wants, but it's in his hands. And he bragged about wanting to do. He's been aching to do this for a long time. He sees this as a dramatic gesture. By the way, it's only 25% of the government would shut down, so it is going to look very different from previous shutdowns should the president do this.
Senator Jeff Merkley, thank you very much for giving us your perspective.